Hi, welcome to College Connection. My name is May Hanna and I'm your host, and I'd like to introduce to you two special guests who just returned from a trip to Portland. Professor Jay Page and Alex Taylor, who's a student in our business program. Welcome.
Thank you.
So this show, I'm really excited because we've got two segments of this show, and the show is about professors like Jay and students like Alex that spent their spring break not on a sunny beach in Florida, but they spent their spring break doing some really interesting things. And Jay took a group of students to Portland and on a spring break trip, but it was also for college credit. So tell us a little bit about this, Jay.
One of the things I wanted to do when I first started at UC Claremont last year was to create a unique domestic travel opportunity for our students. And I happened to go out to Portland in 2009 as a tourist and saw that it's very much a very friendly area as well as a very entrepreneurial area. Portland is a melting pot of all kinds of different businesses, including a very unique food cart concentration with over 700 licensed in the city. I also knew it had an infrastructure with a light rail and streetcar system that we can move students around incredibly easy. After investigating it further from a business perspective, we found that there were several world headquarters of unique companies, including Pendleton Woolen Mills, Keene, and some other, again, very unique companies that we don't see around here. They have a very heavily concentrated industries of athletic and outdoor footwear companies.
Great. And so how many students did you take on
This year
trip?
we took 12. It was an incredibly challenging task to pick those 12. I got to know all my students well. Several different criteria. I knew they had to have the right personality because we're going to interact with key business decision makers in a lot of different companies. I knew they had to get along well with others. I knew that they need to have academic success in the classroom because one of our goals during this whole trip was what I call bring textbooks to life. So concepts and terms that they learned in the classroom, they had an opportunity to apply those to different scenarios from the business perspective in Portland.
Great.
Yep.
And Alex was one of the students.
Yep.
So Alex, you are in your second year at UC Claremont College,
Yes.
right? So what attracted you to this trip?
Portland's always attracted me because of the culture and the art out there, the amazing food that I only had heard about before going, and they held true to that. And also the breweries and just the culture in general, very much. Very green out there as well, green
Great.
energy.
Great. And so the students received college credit for spending the week in Portland. Is that correct?
As part of the whole model, we developed a 3-hour credit class. The students met once a month in the classroom in January and February, and then we met right before we went in March. We did do also some online utilizing Blackboard. They had some discussion questions to answer. And then, of course, we spent the week out there. Two major projects that the students are working on, and actually will have a research paper concern not the infrastructure, the light rail, and the streetcar in Portland, and then comparing it to what's happening in downtown Cincinnati now with the implementation of the streetcar, and just kind of predicting how successful Cincinnati will be, as well as making some recommendations. Obviously, they know now the importance of the light rail to feed a streetcar, and that's one recommendation they'll clearly make. The other thing is around the phenomenal food cart industry in Portland and the pod system that they utilize, where the food carts are concentrating in certain areas of the city. Like they have a downtown pod that's open 11 to 4. They have a nighttime pod that's located close to the college campus. They developed a pod across the river that's built around a playground, so it's more kid-oriented and family-friendly. So
That's great.
So we're wanting to recommend that to City Council in downtown Cincinnati to look at that as a potential way to grow and also allow entrepreneurs into the city even more.
Fantastic. Yeah. So you're each wearing shirts from Portland.
Absolutely.
And Alex, yours is just just a standard Portland shirt,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then Jay, you have one of the company shirts,
Absolutely.
one of the companies. So tell us a little bit about the companies you visited and
Sure.
maybe about Pendleton.
I'll actually start with Pendleton Woolen Mills. It's one of the oldest companies in Oregon. It's actually one of the older companies in the United States, founded in 1869 by the Bishop family. And we had an opportunity to tour their world headquarters as one of several companies, and I'll quickly talk about them in a minute. But Pendleton, like I said, is incredibly unique because it's family owned. They're in their 5th generation. We had an opportunity to meet one of the founding family members, the Bishops, as well as interact with the CEO, several different other executives of the organization as we toured their world headquarters, and had a really unique opportunity. We got to meet Season 8 Project Runway winner Gretchen Jones, which kind of was fascinating to the students as well as
We were all
myself to
very,
meet a
like,
reality star.
star-shocked.
Pendleton focuses more on the 30 to 40-year-old because they are a little bit more expensive because they're 100% wool. Most of them actually made across the river in Washington. But I think she's going after a little bit of the younger generation.
She even let us look at her upcoming line preview of that, and even Pendleton for their target market let us look at their spring 2015 and Christmas and whatnot. And you know, Gretchen's line is very unique, and I'm really excited to see how the younger generation looks at her and Pendleton in a new way.
So you were familiar with the Project Runway winner?
I've
who you
watched
met?
it, yes.
Oh, okay.
And I love fashion, so to get a peek at her sketches and what we're gonna look at in the stores soon, I was just like, man, I feel special. Like it was really great. She took pictures with all of us individually and as a group, so she was just very nice and, you know, very great.
That's great. I did
Absolutely.
see some of your tweets and photos that you posted on your Facebook site from your experience. So that was,
Absolutely.
and with her, that was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Some other really unique companies we got to visit because we kind of got some contrast. We visited Keen Footwear that's only been in business just a little over 10 years that are in the high-end athletic outdoor apparel, mostly shoes, but now they just launched a clothing line. So we got to hear about that, venture into that. We also had a chance to go to Nutcase Helmets, which is a gentleman who decided to leave Nike and start a bicycle helmet company that makes very eccentric and different colors that they use. Another really cool organization that we got to meet is Travel Portland, which sells the city of Portland to tourism as well as conventions and meetings. And they even really helped us understand the importance of the light rail and the streetcar, and obviously something Cincinnati can hopefully capitalize on. But it's a really neat and fun organization that are doing some really cool marketing things. Another part of the trip was to introduce students to careers that they might not be familiar with, and that's clearly one. I don't think students understood you can get a job selling a city, especially a city that you really love. And the Travel Portland organizations does phenomenal. We met the CEO, several key decision makers in that company as well.
And they actually bought us a shirt and like sent it to us so we could, you know, just put their name out there as well.
Absolutely.
And that was very nice of them.
yeah, and look at what you're doing.
Hey, I'm selling you guys.
The gentleman that we ended the experience with was actually on Shark Tank, another reality TV show. Started a bicycle pedal powered smoothie company called Moberry, and he's a young guy in his early 30s. Just has one location, getting ready to open a couple more. He spent a couple hours with us one night, sharing his experience with us about creating a small business and hopefully his future growth plans. And I think the students were incredibly impressed with that opportunity too.
Great. Great. So, Alex, what were some of your biggest takeaways besides meeting the Project Runway winner? What were some of your biggest takeaways when I'm sure you had some expectations going to Portland, but as you were there and you came back and reflected, what were some of the things you thought, gosh, this will be something I always remember because of what?
Well, mentioning Keen, when we met with them, they taught us what Keen was about, their pillars, and I fell in love with them because their pillars stand on not just providing shoes for their fans, which they call their customers as their fans. They also contribute to the earth. Their very hybrid life is what they call it. They're very environment friendly. And actually what's interesting is when the tsunami hit, they donated $1 million, their whole advertising budget, to the tsunami relief.
Wow.
And that's very risky for a young company because advertisement is what gets your name out there. And they put one out that said, you know, this might be our last advertisement, but this money is going to the tsunami, and we hope that you donate as well to help people out.
The company was 1 year old at that time.
That's amazing.
So
Yeah.
definitely a risk.
Yeah, and Nutcase as well. I love their goofy culture. Their helmet designs are very, very cool. And we walked in, there's just a couch and, you know, coffee available. It was just a really funky vibe, and I loved it because that's what Portland is. You know, it's funky. It's keep Portland weird. So they really live up to it, and they were just super duper nice. They shared stories that were real and honest, and we really appreciated that.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. And did you meet some alums while you were there, some UC alums?
We did have an opportunity to meet Lee Alligood, who is the Associate City Planner for the City of Milwaukee. And what made it incredibly relevant is they're in the process of connecting a light rail from the City of Milwaukee into downtown Portland streetcar. So we got to hear a little bit about some real world perspectives on the light rail, because one of the places around close to us that may get a light rail sometime is the city of Milford. They're right there by Target. And then secondly, we met Sue Ball, who is with Portland Development Commission, and she's also a University of Cincinnati alum. And she talked about what she did as far as economic development goes. And another career opportunity that our students are not aware of is maybe I don't want to sell a city, but maybe I help impact a city by bringing local businesses or support the businesses. And we got to see an example of some of her work with one of the companies called Aurochs Leather that started out in their Saturday market and now have a brick and mortar store, but her organization helped them with their signage outside the building. So we got to take a tour of that and see her direct work in that. So it was really awesome for the students to have a chance to interact with alum. It really gave them a lot of inspiration, and as well as they know that, you know, hey, I can be that person sometime in the future.
And she even took us to Aurochs and had us meet with them and stuff. And when you watch them communicate, the owner of Aurochs and her, you just saw like they were on a friend basis. You know, she cared about their business and wanted the best for them. And he talked our ears off, and it was great. We learned so much about where they came from, and it's a 4th-generation business. Like, and his dad was working right there because the store is cut up in half. Half of it's retail, and the other half is their workshop where you can watch them make their products. So
They
that
actually
was
came
neat.
up from Mexico. They're a Mexican Spanish.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you were talking earlier, Alex, you were saying you didn't know that you would be able to have this kind of experience coming to a regional campus of UC. Are you just beyond thrilled that you were able to have that experience?
Yes, because I love to travel, and coming to a branch campus, you automatically think, okay, just show up, go to classes, get my degree. You know, it's cheaper than a main campus, but I know I won't get as many opportunities like studying abroad and whatnot. But you know, these trips that are available to us, they're really great, and they really changed my mind about branch campuses.
Great.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. We only have about a minute left, but Jay, what kind of things do you have planned for next year?
We are actually already selecting our students for Portland 2015.
Great.
We are in the beginning stages of working on a fall experience of 2015 for Austin and San Antonio, Texas. So that's something we're currently developing. We actually just did a day trip to downtown Cincinnati yesterday, and we went to Cincinnati Reds, Procter & Gamble, and we also met with True Quackenbush, who is another entrepreneur who started a small business, Tom & She, and they're now 11 franchises sold and be over 150 in the next 4 years. So
That's great.
Yeah, it's been great.
And thank you, Jay, and thank you, Alex, for coming in today and talking about your trip to Portland. And thank you for joining us.